Hello, audience. I have recently been getting myself into oxygen not included, and I am having a major mind block and struggle to try to figure out what I would like to do. I think that it would be possible to do in the game, but I can't seem to get it to work or get it to work efficiently. So what I've got here is just a save that's just going to be nothing but debug mode, um, be able to build anything instantly, no limits whatsoever. I'm not constrained to anything. So you can enable that. I've got it already previously enabled, but now I'm going to toggle it on. And now I'm going to go ahead and do instant build, which enables everything down here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out a little area here. I'm just going to make a small little sample, small little group of what I'd like to do, and I need your help in trying to find out how I can make this work, because when I actually do put it into action, it just does not work the way I intend it to do. So first thing I need to do is I need to go up here and I need to clear out an area just so I have an area to work with. So when I go ahead and paint this area here, it's going to void out everything. Unpause. And now I have completely vacuum area here that's completely free. So everyone knows with the thermal update that there is now a utility, a thermal regulator here. The thermal regulator, it wants a platform to sit on. Thermal regulator will cool down gases. And the gas that I want to cool down is irrelevant, to be honest with you. But you have your input here and you have your output here. Now, instead of having a thermal regulator that's just chained one upon another like the following, this is what I do not want. I do not want this in my vent out. I don't want this. This is going to occupy too much wattage, too much power. I'm not happy with this. It's not going to work for me. So I'm going to go ahead and deconstruct the pipes, and I'm going to rebuild. Here's what I want. Okay. In fact, I'll deconstruct these two as well, because if I have, for example, oxygen coming in here, and I want to cool the oxygen down to 15 degrees, 16 degrees Celsius, something like that. I want to be able to use one thermal regulator, cool it down to the 16 degrees, and at the end of the 16 degrees to pump it out. So we have an input here. Okay, let's just do this for just images, and it's going to be used anyway in an environment. So you have your input here. Let's just say it's all oxygen right now. The oxygen is going to pump in from here to here, and then it will come out here. And if the oxygen is at temp where I want it to, it's going to pump out. But if it's not at temp, I want this to simply pump back into itself. Now, I know from previous samples and trials and trying to get this to work, I know that this will actually freely go ahead and plug back in. This will happily pump back in. Here's the challenge. This is now closed loop. It never leaves. It never gets out. Never, 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 never. So, with the thermal switch, for example, here, I'm not going to deal with with actual power generation. That's up to you guys, okay? I want this to activate if it's warmer than 16 degrees. No, let's go ahead and set it to 21 because I want it to cool it down to about 15, 16 degrees. That's what I would like. So, because it's in a void, it's already at absolute zero, or 0 kelvins. That's about 0 kelvins. What I'd like to do is to have this thermal switch come here and disable power to this when the temperature is of proper temperature. So we can go and do something like this. We can go ahead and throw this here. We can throw like that, and then deconstruct this gas pipe sitting right here. So now we come back to the display and we have your input here, be processed by the machine, comes to output here, and half of it's going to go here to vent and for this to test, and the other half is going to come here and rerun through the same thermal regulator and cool the air again, or whatever gas you choose to do. So I want to go ahead and use one thermal vent. I'm sorry, thermal. I always forget the name. Thermal regulator to cool it down to the temperature I want. And when this thermo switch kicks on and actually turns off power, the oxygen, instead of coming here and actually being processed, the oxygen should come here and exit here non-stop, because the machine's not running. And when the temperature does drop again, does cool down because the thermal regulator is not running, it'll kick itself back on, it'll start cooling down the oxygen again, and half of it's going out to the vent, half of it's going back to the thermal reg. This is what I want. I want a compact design. I love my compact designs, I'm sorry. I want a compact design that allows me to use one machine to cool as much gas that I want in order to create the cool enough gas that I want. So things like I've seen online through YouTube, I've seen the hydrogen bubbler, and the hydrogen bubbler has some other setups where you have your, I'm not dealing with your initial gas input, okay, that's consistent, that's always going to be there. But what the bubblers are tending to do is using just a bank of regulators. They all overheat, they all have issues, people get scalding when they're trying to service the equipment, blah 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 blah. But they also have, I have seen this, they have their thermo switch that's controlling, I placed that wrong. So we have your input power here, and this one will run, this one will run, this one will run this. I'm not setting these. I will not set these thermal switches. But one can disable the rest of them, so not all of them are running because your temperature is at temp, blah, 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 blah. And what I've seen is, in terms of actually hooking this up, what I've seen, and I only get a couple samples to work with, but you have gas valves here, gas pipes in this direction, with gas pipes, they have this here, and then of course this here, this here, this here, this here, here, and this here. So they're using this type of setup and using multiple machines. This is your output. Your input will come in here. This be here, this be here. No, I did that wrong. Gas pipes. Good night, guys. Clear those because I did them wrong. I apologize. Your input's here, your output was there. Maybe I did have it right. So the idea is here is that if this is full and it can't shove into the thermal reg, the oxygen or whatever gas is going to come off to the next one. It's going to go ahead and feed to the machine, and the machine go ahead and take care of it. And this also links through a much longer chain. It still links from regulator to regulator. Yes, I've seen this work. It does work, but it also creates a lot of power and a lot of pollution, a lot of demand, not networking, power networks and things like that in order to get that to work. I'm trying to avoid this mess. I want something simpler like this. I want one machine to keep tracking of the same oxygen or the same gas, and only when it's at temperature, because of this vent, it'll shove half of it to either direction. Because of that, thermal switch shuts off this machine when it's at temp, and then you have nice, cool, air-conditioned base. I need help because what I'm having a problem with is that this doesn't seem to be able to keep up, because what will happen, I'm not going to run it, I'm sorry, I just don't have the infrastructure set up here. An oxygen bubble will kind of do this thing. It'll just kind of just keep bumping and trying to do whatever it's trying to do. It's trying to find an output, but it's got two outputs there. So instead of actually being half and half, it's doing this weird dance and not working very effectively. It does work, just not effectively. Then this line backs up, then you're not getting enough oxygen actually pumped into your base and things like that. So if I need to put other necessary things like your gas valves or your bridges or something like that, I'll work with you. I'll make that happen, but I do not want this bank of thermoregs. This takes too much power, this takes too much wiring, this takes too much resources to actually get the job done. I need help. Can you guys help me out? Can you give me some kind of link, post, a response video, something like that, that will actually give me something similar to this? This doesn't have to be this perfectly small. I like this perfectly small, don't get me wrong, but it may not work. I may not be able to get that perfectly small. There's a challenge. I really would like to have something set up like this. Can you guys find something for me? I will be checking my account frequently enough. I will respond. I will work with any ideas that you guys have. I'm curious. Can you find me something? I am going to go ahead and let your creative minds at work. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your input, future input. And you have yourselves a good weekend or week or whenever you decide to watch this video. Thank you very much. I will talk to you all very soon. Bye bye.